Okay, so today we're going to have a look at the mouse. I wanted to try something a little different with my reviews. I've only done one so far, so, you know, it's not really different yet. But instead of using tanks.gg, I'll point out from my own experience and use of the tank how to counter it and use it, because you'll probably be able to relate to that a lot more. Anyway, so obviously we have the mouse here. First I'll go over its armor, I guess. So frontally, we've got 200 mils on the upper plate. The lower plate is about the same. It's just since you're looking at it from probably here most of the time, it is less effective. On the turret, we have got 260 mils right at the front, but that is only on the sliver. If you're facing this tank, you can use this wee view hole here to guide you as to where you're going to aim at the front of the turret. It is only a 50% chance to pen with most tier 10 rounds, unless you're a light tank, in which case you probably don't stand a chance. On the side, the armor is 185mm, which is incredible for a tank. And again, light tanks, you're going to have to really get a solid 90-degree angle, and don't really aim for the turret. I mean, you can probably do it with your premium rounds, but it's not going to be that great. So onto the gun stats. 490 alpha, it's reasonable, but it doesn't have the fastest rate of fire. It does get beaten by, for example, the 277, which has an entire 2 seconds faster reload. Or is that 1 second? 1 second faster reload, which doesn't seem like much, but it does make a difference. But the nice thing about the mouse is that you have all these hit points to use up. Got about 3,000 hit points, which when I find it I will show you. There we go, 3,000. I do have a little bit more because I am using an improved hardening class 1 equipment slot, which just buffs your health a little bit, and also the health of your tracks and repair speed, and also gives you a bit of a bonus when someone tries to ram you. So it's nice. Now gun handling is actually really nice. It's got a sub 2 second aim time, which is incredible for a tier 10 tank, or a tier 10 heavy tank anyway. It does have really good dispersion values on the move, so if you're turning your turret, your aiming reticle will not change. It's just you turn and you're aimed. You'll see that in the replay. It's got reasonable accuracy, 0.33, but it is the gun handling that makes this tank's gun. Now onto gun depression. It has 8 degrees, but it feels like a lot more when you use it in battle, so keep that in mind. You will find a lot of people will fire premium at this tank, which is understandable, because if you go on this angle and you turn your turret a little bit, preferably so that this corner, if you look down on it, is just about over here, over the tank, you will be as effective as you possibly can be. If of course you can't sidescape, in which case you got a wall here, you know, no one's going to pen you going through there, not even a Jagzilla can do that. Alright, so onto mobility. It's definitely not the fastest tank. It has 20mm of, not 20mm, 20 kilometers an hour top speed. The good thing about that is that it does seem to stay at its top speed pretty well. Despite its weight, it is the heaviest tank in the game. Obviously there was no camo, don't even try and rely on it, and the view range is pretty decent. I do have it boosted with food, just it doesn't quite reach max on the in battle, but it is there and quite good to use. My crew skills, I actually don't have. I haven't even gotten my first crew skill yet in this tank, but I started with 6 Sense because that's the thing you probably want to have on every tank that you own, at least at first. I am trying to train repairs on it rather quickly, because you're going to get tracked a lot on this tank. A lot of the armor, especially on the side, and when you're going like this, are the tracks, people will find themselves missing your lower plate quite often and hitting the tracks. So the faster you can repair those, the faster you can get back into to retaliate. Okay, so ammunition wise, I normally like to balance out the armor piercing, the standard rounds and the premium. But I'm taking a bit more of the armor piercing, the standard rounds, because this tank does carry a reasonable amount of ammo. I carry 5 high explosive rounds because, there's always situations where you can use them to finish off an opponent that you can't pen, or maybe you know that you're going to come across tanks which you can pen with HE, in which case you can boost your DPM up with higher alpha damage. Now, I'll let you in on a secret which not many people know about, but I have seen a couple of good players use. When the mouse is like this, at this angle, and you're shooting at it, if you use, like, say, ammo like armor piercing or APCR, you can actually pen through here. That's only about 260mm effective. But most people avoid this area because they just assume they can't pen in the first place. It is the same on this side as well. I'm not sure how well heat would do against it, since it is basically a huge chunk of spaced armor, but you can give it a go and see what happens. But, it's just a really good thing to know. Wargaming did recently release the this really cool 3D skin. I put it on, and it turned a chunk of a tank into an even bigger chunk. So there we are. Anyway, we'll head off to the battle now, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we're on the map Pilsen, and just before the game starts, as with any game, I'm looking at both my team's setup, or layout, tank-wise, and also the enemy team's. Now, the enemy team does have a 279E, but it's not really my main concern at the moment. I know he will be firing a lot of heat since he is a reward tank, and the player is probably just playing it to have some fun. But I noticed that the enemy team has a 183, a Jagzilla, 2 E3s and an E4, which are all tanks that don't need premium rounds to actually pen me reliably. So I'm thinking about that as I'm heading over. I'm making my way to the normal heavy tank area, and I think to myself, I need to keep these people at a distance. I need to use their bad accuracy to my own advantage, just so they can't hit my my weak spots that reliably. And I'm pretty confident in the gun on this tank, so I know I'll be able to do something back to them when they try to. So, in order to do this, we decide to move over to this area. We're going to be using this side of the building. We can keep a whole 2 squares of the map distance between us and the enemy. We do have an E4 coming over here with us. We're not going to use the same door as him, because that's just not much of a help for our team. So if he starts getting shot at, if I'm over here where I'm heading now, I can get cross shots on whoever's shooting at him, and vice versa. It just gives us a wider range of map control, which is just one of those micromanagement things you need to sort of take upon yourself in order to give your team a better chance at winning the game. Anyway, I sidescrape out, just doing it safely, just to make sure that no one's there, and if they are, they won't be able to pen me. And I see this M48 pattern across the field. I look for a shot, but he's actually hiding behind these metal tube things, which you can use as cover there. I think he might have backed up there, but it turns out he didn't. Though I didn't see my shot land, so I might have hit something anyway. Now we're on reload with this 430U crosses, so we don't manage to put a shot into him. But now that we're spotted, I see that 279E is now making a move this way, so that's going to be an issue for us pretty soon. Down 0 line, our team looks relatively uncontested at the moment, so it's relatively... I think it's a good call to say that we're probably going to win the East. Never eat soggy weak mix. Yep, that's the right one. So there's a 9E, he's firing heat as I expected. I believe he hit the top of my my turret there, so he didn't manage to pen even with the heat. what he's going to do next is actually bait a shot, which is something which, if you need to cross somewhere, is a really good skill to know. So see, he baited my shot, now I'm on reload and he can cross safely without taking any damage. Unfortunately our E4 had actually pushed in, and it looks like he was focused on the CHONK at the moment, so he wasn't facing the 279E. So I'm waiting for that mouse or the 279E to poke again, but they're not showing their faces yet. Now on the left here, our E4 says he's on reload as the enemy's E3 starts pushing him. Now he's getting contested not only by the E3 but also by the 279E, so we're going to start putting shots into this E3. The enemy mouse is putting shots into me, but from this distance I'm fairly confident he's not going to hit any spot that he can pan. So I'm going to put a second shot into him here, and hopefully our M48 pattern can actually finish him off. Unfortunately the 430U does put the final shot into the into our E4 and he goes down. So we made a shot there. Not that we're going to use it, but you know, it's always nice to see the block damage go up in the mouse. Okay, so Norse is basically won. They're finishing off the two remaining enemy tanks, and I'm currently sitting here overviewing the situation. This is another moment, like in my first video, where you have these moments where you can sit there and think about where the game's going and what the best move is for now. I have a little poke over here to look at the E3, but he is behind a building and that's my own mistake, and by doing so we actually missed a shot on the mouse. Anyway, it looks like city's been won by the enemy, so I have to fall back now. I've got a shot into that Super Conqueror as I'm reversing up, and I see that 430U poking out to take a shot. He manages to get a shot through, I'm assuming, my lower plate, but we're almost reloaded, and I see that he's going to be keen to put another shot into me, so I wait for him and put a shot into him and take him out of the game. Now the 183 is firing at us. Luckily he's only firing AP, so that's something to keep in mind for the rest of this battle, and the E4 just fired at us as well. I can only assume that they're around here because I didn't spot them when they fired, and at the moment the most I can do is just wait for the enemy team to make a push. Whoever pushes first are the ones that lose their health first, so that's a good thing to remember. Now kudos to a player on our team, this STB. He knows that we're about to get pushed in the south here, and he's getting ready to support. I start looking for a shot on this 279E, but he's behind a building. So instead I begin waiting for this mouse tank to finish his cross. We should be able to put a shot into him as he tries to make his way over. So far the enemy team hasn't shown themselves in the south. I'm assuming they are checking out and seeing if they can find any tanks hiding up here. We put a shot into the mouse and I decide to move forward just to prepare for the enemy, and just as I do that the CHONK appears, so that was good timing. We put a shot into him, he is crossing in the open, but it is a ghost round, and the E4 turns up behind us and luckily bounces us. Once again showing off the armor, we actually bounced a few shots here. We missed a shot point blank on the 183 because RNG. Now we're actually really vulnerable to this E4 at the moment, but hopefully our STB can actually help us out here. We take another shot from him, but we still have more than half our health left, so I'm still fairly confident about using up my health at the moment. I put a shot into the top of the 183's turret. That is the weak spot on that tank, at least with the turret. And we keep our tank angled to the CHONK so we can't do any damage to us. We do take a third shot from the E4, and I put a shot into the CHONK as he tries to retreat. Now our STB should begin putting shots into the E4 pretty soon. We do need him to start supporting us. I reverse into this train just to make sure that this E4 has to delay his shot to aim, and I pull out and he's able to put a shot into the back. But this has given my STB enough time to start finishing off this E4 before he reloads. Now I'm actually a bit afraid here that he's going to reload before I can the STB can finish him off, but luckily he does. I put a final shot into the CHONK and shut him down, and just like that we've managed to win this whole side with the help of an STB. And now all we have left is a cleanup. There was a low health 279E who I've discovered there was a wee spot through here that I can shoot, but doesn't look like RNG is going to let us do that today. We'll try again. No. We'll try a third time, see what happens, you know. I'm not exactly fast enough to drive over there, so I'm just trying to do everything from here, but it looks like our team's a bit afraid to encounter them. Looks like our E3 is going to facehug him, and in true Tank Destroyer fashion, he just turns in front of that 279E into butter. So I actually noticed this mouse is actually well within sight of us, so I aimed for his lower plate, and we managed to clutch a shot into his lower plate, and that's a game 1. It's just the little micromanagers, like I did before, where I had to ask with my tank from the E3, and that slowed down his DPM, and it allowed our SDB to use his and finish him off, allowing us to survive, finish off the CHONK, and win the game. We probably would have won without... Our team probably would have won, even if we died to that E4, but, you know, it's better safe than sorry. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the replay, and I will see you next time.